Welcome back from the break. Now, have you recently had to let a lot of your employees go or write those letters for salary cuts? Or maybe you're on the other side and you've lost your job or you've had to take a massive salary cut and you're just like, well, this conversation is for you. I'm going to be talking to an amazing gentleman who is an author and a coach, and he's going to be taking us through the best advice on how to deal with this crisis and this difficult season. Enough for me. Let's go meet him and say hello. Hello, Mr. Welly.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
It seems you have adjusted well to the new normal.
I just had to. Sometimes there's no choice. So I was just like, okay, it's here. It's fine.
Yeah, it's here, it's here. Well,
It's
it's so glad, it's so nice to be with you guys.
Thank you so much for making the time for this. I really appreciate it. How have you been? Of course, you are a pastor. So, being a pastor, how have you been coping the last couple of months?
Well, it's been quite an exciting experience for me. Crisis tests leadership most. And so this is the time when the priorities you set out as a leader and the perceptions you've had as a leader, this is the time when they are fully tested. And I can say we have really had a strong run. I can't say it has been different. It has been different, and always different comes with a degree of difficulty, but we have pulled through well.
I like that. Well, that's good to hear. I'm happy that you have pulled through well this crazy season. So we want to talk about leadership today, and we want to talk about leadership with the focus of the work world. So in the work world, you have employers, you have employees, people are dealing with their suppliers, and financially, that world and the way we had created our corporate setup has really been shook. Can you briefly highlight what you think employers' mindsets are right now?
One thing I would say is that employers are thinking of how they are going to sustain the organization and steer the organization through this season. And so those are almost two, it's like driving on a slippery road whereby if you stop, you'll get stuck. But if you keep moving, there's that skidding. And so one foot is on the pedal to sustain momentum, and the other one is on the steering to steer it through. And so those two forces have put them in a very awkward situation, because now they are thinking the most lean, efficient way of getting the work that they still need to get and making the commitment they've made to their customers who have given them opportunity to serve them. And so the employer is thinking, how do I sustain the organization and still steer the organization to remain competitive? Because whenever there's disruption in the world, it is the most adaptive that emerge.
I agree with you. A lot of people I've spoken to on this very show have said that if you look at situations in the world before, even if it wasn't necessarily a pandemic, people who adapted quickly came out victorious in the end, right? So at this time, companies are having to minimize a lot, and a lot of employers are having to let people go. How do you think what is the best way for a leader to go about it when they have to reduce salaries or they have to let people go? Is there a way to do it the proper way and to balance?
There's always a proper way, because some of these things, the leader is not doing it as punishment to the person whom is being let go. The person who is being let go is not because he's become incompetent, but because the operating space has drastically been reduced to accommodate that high number of people. And so whenever there is that, it was not by desire, but it is by design that you find yourself in this place. You have to apply a lot of empathy, because both parties must apply a lot of empathy, but the leader the most, because you're the one who's making the decision. You have got to apply empathy, because you have to know that this has not been caused by the person you're letting go. And most of them are letting go of very good people, very qualified people, people who have delivered to their expectations over the years. And so they have to do it with a lot of empathy. They have to do it with a lot of sincerity, in that to let the person know that as much as we are severing ties in terms of our contract, it doesn't mean you have severed ties in terms of our relationship. And so it has to be done with a lot of empathy, and it has also to be done with a lot of empowerment. I think as employers, you should organize a forum for the people that you're going to let go, to bring in some people who will also help them as you are going through sustenance and steering. You need to bring somebody who will help them to be able to sustain and steer themselves, so that the problem with our generation ni kupiga sherehe. You get, maybe your employer will let you go, give you some 500,000 or 300,000, whatever your employer will give you, and unaenda unapiga sherehe on Saturday, and you're saying manzacha nipige sherehe najipanga on Monday. But always, you can't piga sherehe now. Now is not the time of kupiga sherehe, because you don't know how long this pandemic will last, and you don't know how well you're going to be plugged to be able to pull through that season. And so you have to know, you cannot piga sherehe on your layoff day. You have to have somebody to empower you with some practical skills that will school you and give you tools on how you're going to carry yourself the next few months. Whatever your employer gives you as your severance, you need somebody to school you. And so employers, as you're applying empathy, you need to also empower your people. Call us in, say, hey, Welly, come talk to my staff here. We have to let go these 50 people. Is there something you can talk to them and help them see the world in a more optimistic way, in a more positive way, and with whatever we are putting in their hands, how they are going to be able to organize what is in their hands and be able to sustain the next couple of days, months. And this could actually be the biggest blessing in their lives if they handle it well.
I completely agree with you, because as a leader, if you're able to do that, if you're able to give that gift to an employee that you're letting go, but you're able to give them something and say, I can't keep you right now. Here are some resources, and I think it can help you move forward. And that's an amazing thing. I think it will go a very, very long way. Now, you are an author, and you have the book Roadmap to Wealth, and you also have the book Breaking the Back of Luck. Now, for anyone who hasn't read your books, can you tell our viewers about them and what inspired you when you were writing them?
Well, I am a capacity developer and a content creator. And as a person who always believes that when a person's perspective is widened, their performance increases. And so that is what I believe is the hardest challenge living in a country like Kenya, whereby our perspective is always shaped by the political environment. And so we expect that the politicians to set the tempo of what will happen in our personal lives. But as the political arm is important, there is still the inner life and the inner choice and the inner commitment that is required. And so what inspired me is and what always keeps inspiring me, is seeing people postponing their life, waiting for something else or someone else to be in power, to get into office, to align them and to help them go. And so I'm actually in the process. My second book is about to come out. It's coming out, I think, first week of July, Roadmap to Branding. And because most of us will need to brand ourselves. You're used to working as an employee. You need to rebrand yourself, because now you have to know how to carry yourself and go make the sale, make the pay. You need to brand yourself institutionally. So that is coming out. And so I wrote Breaking the Back of Luck to first of all help people understand that poverty is a choice. Wealth is created. Wealth is created. And so the choice to create, nobody can make that choice for you. Now, people can enable you in the choices that you've made. Like if you start drinking today, suddenly you'll find people who want to drink, enabling you to become a better drinker. Now, if you start doing something meaningful, you have to do business, you'll find enablers in that journey. And so you can create your wealth. And so to follow through that wealth creation, now I'm doing a book on branding, how you can brand yourself. It's called Twinkle. And I want people to be able to take the little skills that they have and brand them better, so that they can get a better return on whatever they have. Because the same cup of tea that you're selling at 20, with proper branding, it can be 100. And with proper branding, it can be 300. And so everything obeys the brand, because the brand is what determines the value of the investment. So it's not necessarily the product, but sometimes it's the branding, because the branding affects the perception, and all spending is about perception. And then the other one is about rules of money. It's the 10 rules that I know about money, and it's a good book. That's a book I think everybody, especially now as we are facing financial turmoil, if you don't have the rules for money, then you're going to lose your money.
Among the 10 rules for money, are there keywords for you that you personally are like, when I understood these 10 rules is when I was like, now I'm sorted?
I'll just give you one. The first rule of money is that money loves growth. Money loves growing. And so money will always find somewhere where it can grow. And so it's a rule. It is always looking for somewhere to grow. And so if you're not growing, money will not like you. Money will not be around you for long. It will always go where it will be grown. And so money loves to grow. So if you don't know how to make it grow, then you're not going to be with money long. You're going to spend money where it's growing. And that's why money is always, those with money seem to always have more money. Have you seen your Uncle Bobo, your Auntie Lista, wherever she is, that those who have always been broke, they're always broke. They're always like, I need. But when you start growing your money, money will love you.
I love that. Money actually wants to stay around the people who are focused on growing it. If you are focused on only spending it or abusing it, money does not want to be anywhere near you.
It will be telling you, take me out, take me out, take me out.
I like that so much. And it makes a lot of sense. I think if we think about money that way, it's not about the actual money. It's about what you can do with it and the life that you can build with it. So I like that. So let's talk about employers at the moment are having employees work from home, the ones that can, and the ones that cannot, they are dealing with, sanitization and the public transport system and everything that has happened in recent terms. How can employers keep their employees motivated? Because now things are so different. People are not in the office with you. They maybe had to take pay cuts. How would you advise employers to motivate their staff?
Meetings, because now, like we're doing this interview, this is just a forum that can keep you in touch with the employee. So that means now you need meetings. Make sure that meetings are happening. Now you have to give them the sense of urgency that we are going to have to do more work with limited staff. And if you are not able to come to the table and work and deliver from home, chances are you are going to be part of the people that will be considering when you're making considerations to relieve of duty, because now we will still have to deliver to our clients, but we have to deliver with a very lean staff. So the first thing is meetings. You need to give meetings and meetings and meetings. There must be a system of tracking days work. Whatever is supposed to be done today must be submitted at a particular time during the day. Now, when it comes to money and when it comes to the cuts that people are going through, it is very, very important for employers to humanize the process. Don't make it a butchering system that, hey, we have to leave, so we have to cut your salary so that we may leave. Don't bash your people or don't butcher them because you have to make hard decisions. Humanize the process. Have personal conversations with as many as you can. Just don't drop letters on them and tell them, hey, this is now your new pay, take it or leave it. Try as much as possible to humanize the process. Don't let people feel like objects, that they are here to take whatever they have because there is nothing happening outside there. You may actually birth the next revolt and the next revolution. And you have to know this, that your ideas at the top need the support of the bottom to execute and to really, really bring out the results that you want. And so without the right execution, you're not going to have the right results. And so because you are there at the top there, you have to humanize the process. Remember, employees have built relationships, and as you are asking some people, as some are going home and some are getting pay cuts, they're getting bruised, they're getting disrupted, friendships are being broken, people who have worked together for years. So humanize the process, try having personal conversations with the people, especially those who will be left behind, to know that we did not target your friends, we did not target this. It had to be done for all of us to survive. But when things go back to normal, we will consider those whom we let go as the first priority. Just humanize the process as much as possible.
You reiterated humanizing the process. But I like what you said of actually talk to your employees on a one-on-one basis, and that way that humanizes the process so much more. And I completely agree, it's so much better when you get a direct phone call or somebody talks to you rather than a letter or an email. In other countries, there's actually been something very interesting that has been happening when employers have engaged their employees. So an employer comes and says, this is what the business is going through. If we continue, I will not be able to sustain this many employees. Interestingly, in some companies around the world, the people at the higher level share their salaries with the people at the lower level, and that way the company is able to keep everybody on board. But you see, that only happened because the employer had a conversation with the workers. So yes. I like what you've said, because you never know. As an employer, you can feel like you're in a hole and you are alone and you are by yourself. But if you include workers and employees that you work with, sometimes you'll be very surprised at the solutions that can come up.
Although we employ people for their skill, yes, people are more than their skill. And if you humanize the process, you tap into the wider resources of this person. That is their senses. You know, if you employ me as an IT expert, I may do some IT, but there are other, there's another quotient of me, maybe you don't know. Maybe I am a very, very good strategist, and maybe I'm a very, very good administrator, and maybe I'm very, very good at some things. And so when you humanize the process, you open me up to think beyond my skill set. And so when we make employment places just to be places where people come and dump their skills and go, you are tapping into maybe 5% of what a person is, and you leave 90% untapped. And so that is why when you humanize the process, you are able to tap into a wider pool of a person's capacity than just the skill that they bring to the organization.
I love that. Now, the new book that is coming out, you have said, is on branding.
Twinkle.
Did you say it is called Twinkle?
Twinkle, yes.
I love that. I guess you mean if somebody brands themselves well, they will twinkle above the rest.
Yes.
That is amazing. So what I want now is for you to give a little tidbit. Don't tell them everything, obviously, but you can give a little tidbit to now the people on the other side. So like now employees, right? So like I am an employee of Standard Group, and I like what you said about branding. Is I need to figure out how I can brand myself within the institutions I work in so that I am a valuable member of the institution. And in case they need to let people go, I need to position myself in a place where it's less likely that I'm going to be picked to be let go. So what does that look like when you're branding yourself, but you're an employee within a company?
Well, the fundamental of branding is trust. And that's what the book is all about. When we say you're a brand, we mean that we can trust you. And by trust, it means that we can give you the heaviest of responsibility with the least of concern, whereby when we give you a duty, we can go and sleep. And so what you're calling trust is your ability to deliver to the promise and the expectations that you have created. Now, when people talk about branding, many people mix up branding and marketing. Right. Now, marketing is a function within branding, but branding is the identity you give to your work. Marketing is the visibility that you give to your work. And so when we talk about identity, that is the character, the characteristic that goes with your work. That when people hear that Welly has done this, what identity has that gone into? And you'll see that's why when you talk of Michelangelo and his drawing, we know when Michael draws a painting, when Michael paints a painting, we know that painting is a masterpiece. We know everything has been done. Why? Because the name Michael is associated with a particular class. Michelangelo, Picasso, they're associated with a particular class. And so when you're talking about branding, I'm talking about building an identity that sustains your profitability. And so that is building a trust, and how you are trusted. And this is one thing about money. The more trusted you are, the more money you can make. The more trusted you are, the more doors will be open for you. And so that is one of the things we're talking about branding. It's about how do I build an identity around who I am so that people treat me like a business, like an institution. When the people look at me, when people deal with me, they feel the value of my identity in whatever I am doing. And so my work has character. My things have character. They have presence. They have aura, and that gives it a lasting effect.
I love that. In fact, there's something that has really resonated with me, which I will apply in my own life as an employee and as an employer, is what it means to have real value within an institution. Is you can be given work, the heaviest of responsibilities, but the person giving you the work can have the least concern because they know, they're sure. And like you said, they trust. And I'm like, yeah, if you tick those two things when you're being given work and you're able to handle that with your employer, you should be okay. I really like that. Mr. Gendo, I have noticed that we are running out of time already, but I've had such an amazing time speaking with you. What I would like is, could you give a final word specifically to leaders in the workspace and in the corporate space, because what they are going through right now, it's unprecedented. Like you have said, this is not something we've experienced before. You said leadership is tested in crisis. So do you have a final word for all the leaders in the workspace who are watching us today?
Well, I can tell every leader out there that sometimes leadership is not your ability to give answers, but leadership is your ability to give hope. And so sometimes when you don't have answers, by giving hope, you have given answers, because out of hope, people will create their own answers. That's what I can say.
I love that. Out of hope, people can create their own answers. Mr. Welly Odero, could you please tell all our viewers where they can find you on social media or contact you for more advice, and so that they can keep up and get the book as soon as it comes out in July?
Yeah. So Welly Odero, that's WELLY. I have my public page that's on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. We are there, so you can join us there. Also, you can call our numbers 0726 008933. The Twinkle book, it is going to be a digital book. So it's going to be out maybe in 2 or so weeks. And many of us who are going through this season, if you can brand yourself correctly, then you can reinvent what you're doing, and people can begin to treat you like a trade, not like a hustle. So go to Welly Odero, inbox me, tag me, and you're going to be good to go. Then I'm on podcast. You can also get some material on podcast. Just search for Welly Odero on Comcast, and you're going to be good to go.
Thank you so much, Mr. Odero. I really appreciated you making the time for this, and I've taken several notes, pages of notes from all the wisdom that you have shared today. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Mr. Odero. Have a great day.
God bless you. God bless you. Good morning.
God bless you too. Good morning. That was Mr. Welly Odero, like he said, an author, a capacity builder through his coaching work, and a pastor at Life Hope Chapel. It's just down in Donholm. But he is doing preaching online, and like he said, he has a book that is coming out in July. It's going to be called Twinkle. So follow him on all his social media pages, and you can look out for that. Now, at the end of conversations, I always like to highlight and reiterate something that my guest said that really hit home with me. And today, during this conversation of leadership with Mr. Welly, he shared so much, but when he talked about employers and employees, he said, employees, if you can brand yourself well within that institution, you will go from being looked at like, it's just a hustle or something, to actually being a part of the trade that your employer is in. So branding yourself will make that possible. And for all employers, we understand that this is a very difficult time you are going through. Like Mr. Odero said, include your employees in the conversation and humanize the process as much as possible. Salaries are being cut, people are being let go. Unfortunately, that is the reality. However, we can really humanize the process. I'm Susan Jaroge. You can find me on my social media on Instagram at Sura_comment. On Twitter, it's S_Jaroge_. And on Facebook, my page is Sura Comment. Now we are going to enjoy the artist segment and really fun TikTok videos. So don't move. Keep it here on Life and Style, the virtual edition. Ciao.